Hi, everyone. I'm James Garbett.
And I'm Denny Dumas.
And this is the Garbett Dumas Real Estate Podcast.
Whistler podcast number 2. This one I am super curious about and have a lot of questions about. Investing in Whistler, if you have thought about an Airbnb property up there, where to find them, what to look for, because there are a couple different phases, would it be called zonings? I don't know. Of properties that allow Airbnb versus properties that, what would be phase 2?
Okay, so
I'll let you summarize because I don't really understand the full scope.
So think of like for phase 2, basically you get owner usage of 56 days a year. So you get it 28 days in the summer, 28 days in the winter. So kind of May to November, November to May.
Okay.
And when you think phase 2, think of the hotel properties. So Four Seasons, Westin, the Pan Pacifics, the Delta. The Hilton is zone phase 1, but I say it's phase 2 anyway. Like it's for all intents and purposes, it's phase 2. So it's all the hotel properties are the phase 2 properties. The phase 1 properties are, you'll find majority of them you'll find either in Creekside, Whistler Village, or the Benchlands.
Okay.
There's a few little pockets around like Nicholas North, Cypress Estates, and then Englewood Greens, Goldenwood, and then Muirfield Crescent. Those are zoned for nightly rentals. They're zoned phase 1. And there, it's basically, you have unlimited owner usage. You can rent it out monthly. You can live in it. You can rent it out minimum one. You can do nightly rentals on it. Like that's where you can do your own Airbnb. You can manage it yourself or get a property management company to manage it for you. Whereas in the hotel properties, they do everything for you. It's basically as turnkey as it gets.
So maximum usage for phase 2 is what?
56 days.
56 days a year. You can't use it more than that. Has to
You
be
can,
in the
but
rental pool.
you can, but you'll pay, right? Like you can't. Yeah.
So what's the advantage of an owner? Why would you want to own something in phase 2?
I find in the past, like a lot of clients and buyers use it as a place to just kind of park some money. They don't, especially, and it's especially popular for more foreign buyers, like from the US, where they know that they're only going to be in Whistler, say 2 weeks a year.
Sure.
They come up for, that week-long ski trip in the summer. They come up once the ski trip in the winter, and then the summer trip, and the rest of the time they put it into the rental pool. They generate income off of it, and that's it.
What would the financials look like on something like that? Because are those more like hotel room style units?
Yeah. Like you can't do anything to them. You can't renovate them. Like you follow the Four Seasons protocol. You follow the Pan Pacific or the Westin protocol. Like you're not putting up your own artwork or anything like that. You're doing what they tell you to do.
So you're almost like a 50-50 partner in a hotel room with this hotel company?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
What would financials look like? Because you were saying management fees on something like that are quite a bit higher than like if you hire your company to run an Airbnb for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll be anywhere from 40 to 55% kind of now. It just really depends on the company. It depends on the complex. There's just a lot of factors, I guess, that are involved with it. The financials, I mean, for the most part, and this is kind of across the board with phase 1, phase 2, from what I've looked at, like, and this is, no mortgage or anything, your return on these properties in Whistler is anywhere from about 1.8% to 5%. And on average, you're looking at about 3%.
Okay. What do these types of units roughly cost?
Like something in the Four Seasons right now, like just a hotel style king bed studio unit, be $500, $515.
And are you buying a specific unit? Like you own unit 506?
Yeah.
It's not like you own not like timeshare.
No, it's not like timeshare. Yeah. You own, like, that's your unit. You're on you're on title.
Okay.
That's yours. Yeah.
Do you own the stuff in the unit?
Good question. No.
Like, do you own the bed, or is that
No,
property of the hotel?
It's
like
property of the
sheets?
hotel, and that's what that's what your strata fees go to pay for, right? So no, you don't. You can't sell it and take the bed out and be like, I'm taking this with me. No, it doesn't work that way.
So let's say roughly $500,000 to $550,000 per unit.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that would gross in income per year?
Well, the Four Seasons. That's a good question. You're kind of putting me on the spot with this one.
Just roughly.
I'm going through the
Math,
financials in my head right now. I can visually see them in my head, and I'm just trying to remember what.
Because while you do that, I'll say if you're spending $500,000 on a condo, you're putting roughly $100,000 down. A $400,000 mortgage right now is probably in the range of $2,500 a month ish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be probably about right.
And then what would a strata fee in a unit?
Well, that's the thing.
That
like in the in places like in complexes like the Four Seasons, the Westin, the Pan Pacifics, like your strata fees are pretty high. There's a lot, especially in the Four Seasons. Like you're going to be anywhere from $600 to $900 a month in strata fees. So, I mean, as far as what you're going to gross on a unit like that, like I said, I'm just going through all the numbers in my head right now. I can see them in the, I can see all the line items and everything. You're going to be about, about 55, 60, I would say.
So let's say 40% management fee. So your net income is about 30 grand.
Yeah.
35 grand. Your mortgage is $2,400 a month plus, let's say, $700 a month for strata fee. So that's roughly $33,000 expenses, roughly.
Yeah.
So you're close to break even there.
Yeah. And that's kind of, right. Like, again, it's lifestyle. I mean, I always tell people, first and foremost, I'm like, you're buying in Whistler because of lifestyle, and then the financial side of it comes afterwards.
But in phase one, I guess with property value today, you're going to be negative cash flow per month. But like I know a few people who bought properties in Whistler 5 years ago, and they're probably making 20 or 30 grand a year with the Airbnb.
Yeah.
But that property value doesn't exist anymore.
No.
Welcome to Greater Vancouver.
Yeah.
Real estate in BC.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy when it's all said and done, like with the prices the way they are now. Like, I mean, a 2-bedroom, so like a two-bedroom phase one will gross, I mean, I know a few units, and we manage, and I have a 2-bedroom condo in Eagle Lodge in Town Plaza. And I think this year, I mean, about 110,000 gross. Like I'm saying, like now when we do revenue projections, like we used to do a projection for a 2-bedroom condo or townhouse in the Village of the Benchlands would be, we'd do it at about 70 to 72,000 gross for the year. And now we're saying it's 90, but it's higher than that. Like the way, your average winter rate is about $750 a night.
That's a 2-bedroom.
That's a 2-bedroom. On average, you're averaging about $500 a night throughout the year. The shoulder season, obviously it's less. The winter season, it's obviously more. Occupancy rates are about 60 to 65%.
Okay.
For the year. So anywhere from 215 to 245 days a year, your property should be rented. The phase one's nice. I mean, if you have the wherewithal and you have the time to manage your own property, especially nowadays with like Airbnb and, you can put a coded lock on your door and use your phone to open it up. Like, if you have that time, I find most people don't, but if you do have that time and that wherewithal, you're going to save yourself 25%, right off the top. So that's what, 22,000, say if it's grossing 90,000, you're saving yourself that and we're happy to help, but I mean, at the end of the day, you gotta do what's best for you. So if you have the ability to do it, I'd say do it.
Probably the more difficult thing is like organizing cleaners and being able to check in on cleaners and things like that, right?
Yeah.
What all does managing an Airbnb entail? So obviously communication with people who are going to stay there, sharing door codes, check in, check out details, organizing cleaners.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah. I mean, so the way we kind of go about it and manage it, so there's a front desk in Deer Lodge in Town Plaza. And if you buy an Eagle Lodge or Deer Lodge or Bear Lodge, your strata fees actually include the front desk service.
Okay.
So clients of ours that we have that don't necessarily own in there, they can pay a subscription every year basically to the front desk service.
Okay.
I think it's like $1,000 a year or something. It's based on check-ins. But so basically we get the property up and listed. It's on our site. It's on Airbnb. It's on VRBO. We get a booking. It goes straight into the system, and then we communicate with the renter. They go to the front desk, and that's where they get checked in.
Okay.
We don't rent to anyone under the age of 28, so they go, they show their ID. The nice thing about having the front desk service, like on Airbnb, they only hold the deposit for 24 hours. So if there's anything that happens, you're kind of hooped. Whereas our front desk, they take the credit card imprint and they'll hold it for 7 days.
Okay.
Because sometimes the cleaners don't get in there right after the booking, depending. So we organize the cleaners. I mean, we have a couple of handy people, not at our service. So if something needs to be taken care of, we've got boots on the ground, basically.
Can we go through the numbers of a phase one unit? Let's use that 2-bedroom specifically.
Yeah.
What's the market value of something like that right now?
Like anywhere from 1.5 to 2. Let's say
low end. Let's say 1.5. So you're going to put $300K down. So you have a $1.2 million mortgage. That mortgage today, it's not pretty.
No.
It's probably $7,000 a month.
Yeah.
Your gross income is about 110. If you use a property management company, let's take off 25K.
Yeah.
So that's 85 grand. Your mortgage is going to be close to 80. And then what's a strata fee on a unit like that?
So your strata fee, you're going to do $700 a month.
So that's another $8,000 or $9,000 plus $1,000. So let's say 10 grand, the $1,000 for the front desk staff. So let's say roughly 10 grand. So your all-in cost per year is going to be 90-ish.
Yeah. Well, and you still have your property taxes.
Yeah.
Which are say $4,000 a year.
Okay. So let's say 95K.
Yeah. And then you've got your Tourism Whistler fee as well.
What does that entail?
So everybody that has any properties in Whistler that do nightly rentals pay a Tourism Whistler fee. Tourism Whistler is a nonprofit, so they have to market Whistler to the world and get people into the beds. So everybody that has a nightly rental property pays. Even if you don't do nightly rentals, you can sign an affidavit that says I'm not, because some of the phase ones aren't used for nightly rentals.
Sure.
The GST's paid on them. And so people use them residentially, but you'll still pay $350 a year to Tourism Whistler. But if you do a rental on it, it's basically based on bed units in the property. Okay. So I mean, for a 2-bedroom now, I think now be about depending on the complex, 1,400 to 1,600 a year. Sorry, a year.
Okay.
A year.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of these buildings that are phase one are what age? They're like 80s, 90s?
Yeah, 94, 96.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's kind of on average. Everything's kind of 94 to 96, like especially like, on Northlands Boulevard. A few up in the Benchlands were built kind of 88 to 91, but most of the stuff is kind of 94 to 96. And then a few of the newer buildings were, the Pan Pacific Village Center was 2000 it was either 2002 or 2005. The Four Seasons was 2005. First Tracks Lodge in Creekside was 2008, I think, if I remember right. off the top, but there's not a lot of new, like everything's hitting that kind of 25 to 30 years now.
In a building like that, let's say there's 100 units, what percentage of them would be used for Airbnb in those phase one buildings?
85 to 90.
Some majority.
Yeah, majority of them. There's not too many people living in them.
Being a heavy investor, are you finding the stratas postponing maintenance on those buildings? Like 25 years is a number in a strata building where a lot of things start to come up, right? The elevator might start to come up. The roof probably needs replacing if it hasn't. Parkade membranes, like windows will be in the next 5 to 10 years maybe, right?
It's happening. Yeah, there's a couple of complexes in Whistler right now where they've done big cash calls. Glacier Lodge right on the Upper Village, right across from the Fairmont. I think they have, what was it, 22 or 25 million slated. That's going through. Ironwood over in Blueberry, one of my clients owns in there. We were having a conversation and they're doing a $250,000 cash call.
Each unit. Yeah.
And then...
Are you prepared for that, Carl? Jeez.
You want another good story? I listed a property. I'm not going to say I listed a phase one property in the Village last week. And I kind of knew that something was up because something's up when they want to start crossing off the commission section of the listing contract and stuff, right? So I was like, yeah, I'm pretty easy going when it comes to stuff like that. I'm like, it either works or it doesn't. I'm not gonna. So anyway, but I didn't quite catch on what was happening. But the building itself is like, and it's this building was built in 1980.
Okay.
And so there's a lot. The land value is there, but there's a lot coming up in this building, and so these particular units sell significantly lower than what a regular phase one would sell for. Plus the management structure in there is a little bit different than you'd find in most phase ones. You actually have to use their front desk, which is not normally the case with phase one. So long story short, we ended up getting 3 offers on it in the first day. 2 were unconditional, 1 wasn't, but so we had an accepted offer. We took the conditional offer. The conditional offer went through the strata and all of that. And they were like, no, we're out. And then the seller canceled the listing the next day because found out that everyone voted against actually doing the work that needed to be done. So the reason they were selling was because there was potentially $200,000 to $250,000 coming down the pipe to pay for the unit. So there are a few complexes in Whistler that, like you said, parking membranes, there's all of this maintenance that's coming up. That's where I also say, if having a high strata fee isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially depending on where they're allocating it.
Sure.
Do you want to have a big cash call at the end of the year, or do you want to, slowly save up for it? Which, good complex like Montebello, all of their owners saved up for 7 years for the new roof. Now the roof's done and they don't have to worry about it for the next 40 years.
Exactly.
Right. So
is there any available land that is in phase one zoning, or it is 100% built out and there won't be
to purchase?
Yeah.
The area was kind of talked about in, actually, I don't know if it's going to be phase one or not, where the tennis center is.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should find that out actually.
Why is that prolonging so? Why is it taking so long?
Many different reasons. We don't have enough time.
Mostly political?
Yes. Yes. Many different reasons.
But eventually there will be some new condo buildings there.
Will be townhouses.
Okay.
There are different little pockets. But what the zoning would be, I don't know actually off the top of my head. Actually should find out how to figure that out. That's how I got into real estate actually. I was working for the Evolution Project in Creekside, and they brought me on to go and learn and then to help out. They were going to do I think it was going to be 47 individual townhome units up on base 2. They were basically going to flatten everything in base 2, and it was going to be like Whistler's premier ski in, ski out. And at that time, I was working with Playground Real Estate, which was the sales and marketing arm to Intrawest Developments. Fortress bought Intrawest back in 2008 or whatever it was. The whole world collapsed. They said no more new development. My year contract with Playground turned into 6 months, but I had worked into it that they would take care of my real estate license. So spent the winter skiing and studying for my real estate license. And here we are 15 years later. Anyway.
Obviously Whistler is getting quite expensive. Looking at a 1-bedroom phase 1, I think we talked about like entry level would be like around 1.1.
Yeah, I'd say $1 million.
Yeah. Is there much in terms of like fractional ownership opportunities?
Yeah, there is. I mean, and we've seen that, I was just looking at the numbers the other day, and we've seen that increase too. Everything kind of went by the wayside for a long period of time, and now everyone just kind of wants that piece. I mean, realistically, on a 2-bedroom, like I've got a couple listings in Legends. Like Legends is a
that's
shared.
Creekside, right?
What's that?
That's Creekside?
Yeah. So, crunching the numbers on that without a mortgage on it, you're looking at about 1.8% when it's all said and done on your return. And that's on a $315,000 purchase.
And that's 50% ownership? What is that?
No, it's quarter.
That's a quarter.
Yeah, so 13 weeks a year?
Is that phase 2?
No, phase 1.
Okay.
So it's basically it's 4 owners on one title.
Okay.
Is how they do it. And then you just rotate. So
how does selling those work?
Same as normal. Like same as.
What if one quarter is wanting to sell, one person out of the 4?
Yeah, just one. So basically there's
interest?
A, B, C, and D.
Okay.
And each owner's treated individually. So basically when you buy, you're buying, like if you're buying A, so every 4 years you get Christmas and New Year's.
Right.
And so when you decide if you want to have it rented out or if you want to use it. Some people, they want to use it exclusively, and other people, they'll come up and use it when they can, but rent it out, majority of the time. And
if you own Block A, are you getting the rental income 1/4% from the entire year? Or a quarter of the entire rental income from the entire year? Or are you just getting rental income from Block A?
Well, they just changed, well, not just, I guess, but yeah, it works a little bit differently now where it used to be pooled. It's not pooled anymore.
Okay.
So it's based on your unit.
Because then you're in control. Yeah. If you're sharing 25% of the yearly rental income and Block B uses it 100% for themselves.
Yeah.
Then it's a little bit unfair.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too, like in the phase 2s as well, like, whenever you're using your property, like for your own personal use, you're not in the rental pool. Like you're not generating revenue.
Right.
So if you come at Christmas time to use it with your family, you're missing out on the, Christmas, New Year's, President's Week, March break, Easter, like those are kind of the prime time. So if you're buying it for revenue, don't come at that time to use it.
Let's wrap up. Whistler's always been a dream of mine, and one day I will own something in Whistler. So one day I will give you a call.
Okay.
But if you're thinking about investing in real estate in Whistler, this is your guy. We will throw his Instagram in the podcast notes. But Nick Soldan Harris, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, buddy.
That was awesome.